Good morning, people.
Good
How are
morning.
yous?
Good morning,
What
hello,
cup
and
is
welcome,
this?
everyone.
Oh, this is
It's a Carlos
Carlos's sticker. Well, it was a Fortinet mug, and I think, or from some vendor, and I put a Carlos sticker over the top because everyone should have a flying Puerto Rican on their coffee cup in the morning. I mean, it's a thing,
a Mexican jumping bean.
right?
And if you're in the know, you know, and if you're not, you think I'm racist, and
Right.
you're wrong.
You're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. Ask Carlos himself. Good morning, Elodie. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everybody. I guess it's a whole new year of
It
cool
is.
stuff.
First new show of the
Everybody,
year.
everybody did the end of year wrap up stuff. I saw a whole bunch of that from like a bazillion channels.
Could you imagine how long my end of year wrap up video would be with highlights of all 400 videos I made last year?
Oh my God. It'd be like the D-Star episode of Nuggets times 3.
Yeah. Just go watch the channel. You'll be fine.
Good morning, Andy Cowley. I saw you in here like the first thing this morning, and I meant to type at you, but I missed. So howdy. We got a lot of stuff to cover today, I think.
We do.
But Steve, what's going on? What's going on in TO land this week? What cool stuff are you about?
I got another batch of Redivus returns. 4. So I've got a GMRS radio, like a mobile, and I've got a Redivus MA1, which is their 2 meter, 70 centimeter, 50 watt mobile. I've got another RT95 that's got to get fixed, and it's already sold. It's going out today. And then I've got a HS4, which is their 10 meter export radio. So I got to do the whole Toads DI thing on the HS4 10 meter export radio and do FT8 on 10 meters and 11.
11.
I'll mention that I'm committing a crime, which is not actually proof that I'm committing a crime.
Right.
It could just be sarcasm, satire.
This is a question for TO more than everything else, maybe. There are Baofeng cables specifically on DigiRig's website, and I would imagine, I'm not 100% sure, Elodie, because I don't have that cable here, but that looks like the exact same size connector.
It's not the connector size that's the issue, and I happen to have.
I mean the spacing.
Both of these things here. It's the shroud, like we did in Nuggets. You were on the Nuggets episode. You were paying attention.
Yeah.
LED was paying attention. That's why she's asking. So, it may not. It's extremely close. You'll have to test it out.
Your audio is a little low to me, at least, so I don't.
Yeah. Let's go back in and tell Apple to get out of the way and stop trying to do things for me that I didn't ask it.
Just saying. Thank you.
So LED, there's a 75% chance that it'll work. But if it doesn't work, you can get real ghetto and start shaving the connector down to make it fit.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say a little plastic surgery never hurt anything. Because that's the only thing that's going to be in the way is the plastic on the thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, the K connector's got an inherent problem where you feel like it's in before it's actually in.
Right. So the Redivus return thing, you're doing. What can you share with us about the Redivus returns? You're just like the end of the road for these radios?
Yeah, so I mean, I've been working with Redivus for about 6 years now. So you have to take some time and develop a relationship and show that you know what you're talking about and have some value, and then you can reach out to the company and work your contacts that you've made, and they will send you the Amazon returns to repair and resell, and then they're not free. Yeah, I'm with you, Elodie. So you got to do some work, and I think the only reason why it is profitable, quote unquote, is because people like to watch the YouTube videos, and then they'll subscribe to the channel, then they'll watch future videos, and occasionally they might like buy something off of Amazon, and I can eat. But like the HTs, I make like $3 to $5 on an HT, so like it's not worth getting out of bed to repair an HT to sell it and make $3.
You found that a lot of these broken radios was more
User
keyboard
error.
to chair short, layer 8 issues. Yeah. All
right, I turned the mic up.
Oh, that's better. Yeah.
So.
Because you were there, but you were soft. You were soft. Softly.
Well, I'm also moving around too. I'm a mover.
Well, I see that, and a shaker.
I am.
So this kind of segues into an article I was reading on somebody's blog. And this guy that wrote the article got licensed in 1956. And I actually have the article here. Who wrote
Uphill
that?
both ways, barefoot in the snow.
Yeah.
Go down to the office, take the entire day.
Ernie Rader, W5NH, wrote this article. And this is on KB6NU's. Let me pop that up there real quick. I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to I'm not going to synopsisize it.
This is the guy that doesn't like ARL.
He is the one that kind of pooped on him, yeah. And I can't.
There was no kinda. He just came right out and beat the ever-loving tar out of him.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway,
And I'm not arguing with him or supporting him. I'm just saying this is that guy. So go read his articles on the ARL if you want a good read.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah. And you're exactly right. And he's got a decent blog, and he comes up with some interesting stuff. And I share it with you. I kind of keep up on this guy one. So anyway, and I'm gonna, because if I have it up on the screen, I'll tend to read it, and I don't want to do that. So he got licensed in 1956, which is before I was born. So he's been a ham a hot minute. A hot minute. That's what we say in the South. And he said, and I think it's an interesting point, that it's harder to get to be a ham today than it was back in the day when we had to learn Morse code with a spark gap transmitter uphill in the snow both ways kind of thing. And I thought that was interesting coming from somebody who is much older than I am.
Who's actually put some thought into his opinion? Try being informed instead of opinionated?
Right. And his point was, the biggest challenge he thought back then was the Morse code thing and answering technical questions on the test. But his comment was, and you should go read his blog post, it's much more eloquent than I'm doing, but there was a lot less to pay attention to back
less surface
in
area.
1956. Yep. Yes. That's a good less surface area. I like that.
Well, imagine being a doctor in colonial Williamsburg in the time that it wasn't called colonial. It was just in the time when it was just called Williamsburg. Like there was only 3 ailments you had, and most of them involved leeches.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then today you can have any of 6 billion different ailments and any of 390 trillion medications that will go for it that then cause other problems. It's surface area. Same thing with learning how to program in computers. Back when PCs could only be programmed in BASIC and assembler.
You're a little hot now, buddy.
I know. It's because I move, and then Jim says I'm quiet.
Well, no, you were quiet even when you were face up in the mic. Maybe halfway between what you had and what you did. Anyway.
Well, all right, that's it.
Okay. So his point was today you have FT8, you have JS8 call, you have PSK, you have yada, 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 yada. You have all the digital voice modes, DMR, NXDN, D-Star, whichever
HF.
ones I'm forgetting. Yeah, YSF. You can do digital voice over HF, right? We do FT8 over HF. It's technically a digital mode, but you can also do digital voice. So his point is there's such a wide, and the camera's not wide enough, but my arms are all the way out. There's such a wide breadth of things that you have to encompass ham radio today, right? Hotspots. That's a whole channel on our Toads Discord, which I forgot to post the link up in the thing, and I'll do that in a minute when I quit moving my hands and I can type. But I mean, it's just tons of stuff. Steve has got the DI project, going on, and we've had the AIOC thing. Steve's still working with that too. So I mean, that's stuff that's only been around for a few years at most.
So I would argue that that's not. And let me finish this out before you. I'm talking to the chat too. Before you go crazy on me, that's not ham radio, and I'm not saying it because it's like I'm an OM screaming at clouds about D-Star is not real ham radio. Ham radio should be the basics of radio, and then anything you add on to that, like driving is driving a car. Eating McDonald's and talking on the cell phone while driving a car is not driving. You don't need to go take a test about McDonald's in order to drive a car. You don't need to take a test about D-Star and hotspots and FT8 in order to operate a radio. And you'd probably do better if you didn't focus on that stuff and learned how to radio first and then translated those skills into FT8.
Yeah. I mean, there's just so much, and that was his point, is that as a new ham, once you take the test, and this is something Steve and I have said multiple times, passing the test means you pass the test. Here's your ticket.
Yep.
That was one thing I learned, because I was in awe of people who got their extra when I got my ham, and then I realized Steve's just kind of a knucklehead sometimes, and even though he was an extra,
Love you,
he's
Jim.
still, yeah, I mean, well, I can't make my hands do that enough. There we go. But that was really when I realized that he's exactly right. You passed the test, you got your license. It doesn't mean that I am an RF engineer now and can, see packets in the air and stuff like that. And the guy's point in the article was that it's incredibly overwhelming to a lot of new people when they get into ham radio. And they go maybe join a club or check out clubs. And I'm not boning on clubs. I'm not a member of one. I ain't got time for it. That's my opinion on clubs. But as you all should know, there are a lot of geezers, and that's more of a mental state of mind than an age. There's a lot of OMs in ham radio who, if you're not doing what they're doing, you're not doing it right. And we all know somebody like that.
OM used to be a term of endearment, and now it's disdain.
Well, I mean, someone doesn't like your carbon fiber mast. Who was doing, HOA Ham, Bob, did a great video on an antenna setup he did to have a 40-meter freestanding quarter wave antenna in his HOA controlled yard space. And easy enough to put up and take down. I mean, like, very easy.
His no-fly zone.
And he used a carbon fiber mast. And I know that Bob's probably getting comments vetching about his carbon fiber mast. But it's like, does it antenna?
Yeah. Do you know that interferes with your antenna? Yes, I do. Did you see the signal reports that I got? Did you hear the contacts that I made? Did you get to the end of the video, or did you just see carbon fiber, go straight to the comments section, start vetching, and disappear?
Yep.
Before the knowledge came in.
Yep. And T.O.'s done a couple of videos with carbon fiber antennas you played with. The antenna is carbon fiber.
Hollywood's got the most awesome point, because I have said this a couple of times over the years. You should, I'm going to shit all over everybody right now. As part of getting your tech license, you should go in and you should pass the law part. Like, you have to ID every 10 minutes and where your band privileges start and end, and the what is that line that's between Canada and the U.S.? That's stuff that you have no choice but to memorize, because it's not physical physics reality fact. And then, in a controlled environment with an actual Elmer, you should set up a 2-meter radio, power station, power supply, antenna, get on the air and make a contact with somebody who's waiting for you to make the contact with them in the other room, to prove that you are proficient enough to put a station together and not be an idiot. Let's actually teach people something instead of gatekeep them.
Vern nailed it. Does it work? Radio on, have fun. And Jeff, I'm not sure if you're mad because we like carbon fiber, or we're not offended by carbon fiber, or if you're trolling me. And I'm not sure, knowing you, Jeff. No, not the Mason-Dixon line.
There's a name for it. It's a radar line between the U.S. and Canada.
Yeah.
And you can't use 70 centimeters.
42 degrees? 24 degrees?
Yeah.
I can't remember. I'm transposing.
There's a name
numbers here,
for
I'm
it.
Sure. 2440 or fight?
Gendron, thank you. Or just for you, bud.
Yeah, and LC, exactly. A commercial license doesn't mean you know how to drive a truck right way.
The A line. What a great name. I was going to say ley line, but ley line is something else entirely.
No, that's what controls the pyramids.
Ley line might actually have more to do with radio than the A line.
Line A, yeah, that's right. The do line, Liberty, that's right. I don't know if they even call it the do line anymore. Maybe they do. I don't know. Anyway, but that was his point in the article, and I thought it was an interesting article, and I thought it was even better that it came from someone who's older than me and older than a lot of y'all. I mean, he got his license in 1956, so the guy's at least probably 10 to 15 years older than that. I was born in 62. He was licensed in 56, so holy crap.
I would say another reason why getting your license back then would have been easier is because the clubs were more active and ham radio was more useful to everyday life. And so you could go to the club and you could work with the club members and you could actually get on the radio and do radio stuff. Like right now, in order for you to get your ham license, you have to pass the test first before you can actually transmit. But back then, with an active club, and there are some active clubs, but in the main, there's not a lot of active clubs. Back then, you could get to the club and you could actually get online and get on air and transmit and so on and learn like what you were actually doing. A lot of the stuff like the band edges thing where on LSB you can't be 3 kilohertz. You have to be 3 kilohertz above the bottom of the band edge, and on USB you have to be 3 kilohertz below the top of the band edge. That didn't really gel to me until I actually got on the air in an HF contest and had to like respect the line and understand that I'm shooting down or shooting up depending on sideband mode. Like
Right.
that's words on paper that mean nothing. You know, like you can spend years learning how to fly an airplane and never get in the cockpit and still not know what you're doing.
Right. Right. Well, and I've known people like that. One of my instructors in paramedic school was, and I mean, I've been out of school now for 25 years, but he was teaching paramedic. He had a paramedic license. He was a cop. He worked for Alabama Bureau of Investigation. He was not a line paramedic. I always thought that was weird, and it's not a cop thing. I'm not making fun of cops, Joe Brett, if you're here, or any other 5-0 that's in the audience.
No, if Joe Brett's here, we are making fun of you. But
Well,
everybody else,
if Joe Brett's here, we'll throw him a donut and he'll not mess with us. But I just always thought it was weird, and it goes to Steve's point that this guy was teaching EMS, but he was not in EMS. It was not his job. He had been, and I talked to him a lot because I didn't get into EMS until I was in my late 30s. But you know, it's just an interesting point. Jonathan Slosby, good morning. You're on island time. You are forgiven. You don't have to sit in the back if you don't want to. And thank you for the 1999 super chat.
Get back to the States and put that radio in the car.
Don't do it, John. And hit me up on we need to coordinate a time on the POC radio still while you're down there too. So don't forget that. Put down the booze and let's do the radio thing a minute. Because we're going to try and POC between here and Agata. In Agata de Vida, whatever the island name is that he's on. I always say it wrong. So, what were we got sidetracked there. Anyway, I think it comes down to have fun. Have fun. And there are some weird questions on the test, even today. Pack door. Does anyone actually?
Boink's got one about, do I need to pass a test to prove that I know that in an emergency I can use a radio? No, in an emergency, I don't care what your laws are. It's an emergency.
Right.
I will drive above the posted speed limit in an emergency.
Right. And Matt's got a good point. There are things that are simpler too. That's exactly right. Turning on your 100-watt HF radio and playing radio. There's no letting everything warm up and screwing around with it for 30 minutes before you can even key up, or you'll blow up a tube or cause the house to burn down. So I guess it depends on your viewpoint on it. But I thought it was an interesting article, and based on the guy's age, I thought it was well thought out. And as opposed to what I see on QRZ a lot of times, where they actually have the no YouTubers column, I'm like, that is so welcoming. What is that? The anti-geezer old man hate club? I just don't get the mentality. I mean,
I don't miss QRZ.
I don't miss some of the people on it. I
haven't been there in years.
The forums are a wretched hive of scum and villainy, most of them. So the hate, people talk about that. 4chan, right? Truly a wretched hive. I got to say that sometimes I think the QRZ people came over from 4chan, I don't know. And if y'all know what 4chan is, then you know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, Google it. But be careful Googling it. So, and Boink, I mean...
See, hold on. Boink had good parents. That's it.
Yeah. And Boink, that's a great point. I was doing POTA hunting the other day, And the guy doing the POTA was a little slow to say QRZ, right? He'd finish up his contact 73, and you knew he was logging, right? And I mean, he couldn't even start talking before people were keying up over the top of each other trying to get this guy.
Yep.
And then he keyed up because he wasn't expecting people to key up on top of him. And he's talking, and there's still knuckleheads calling call signs out. It's like, did the brother say QRZ? No, he did not. Why don't you wait? Yeah, boink, your parents gave you home training, brother. Absolutely right.
Yeah, we don't have common sense anymore because our kids are being taught. Never mind. Off that soapbox. What's next on the agenda, Jim?
Wow. Okay. Yeah, we did soapbox on that. So I did want to share this. Let me share that screen out.
JA ops are so polite that on FT8 they skip the first over because they know it's wasting everybody's time.
Right. What is this, gentlemen?
Oh, that's awesome.
I pulled this off of Reddit. I'm pretty sure I know what it is, and Reddit said what they thought it was too, but I just want to share this with you guys. I want to see if we got anybody. Yep. Sounder.
Hank's got it.
Hank nailed it.
Now, do you know how to use one?
Yeah, I don't, and I'm not 100% sure how it works. I read on this several years ago.
Has nothing to do with ham radio.
Yeah, well, it's a telegraph station, and it's an old J38 style key. So you see the button there? Now let me get over here. You can see my mouse. So there is obviously the key to do keying. But this little thing right here, this little slide, and this is exactly the same thing that's on my J38 key. This, when you slide it over, makes contact full time. So it's like holding down the key. And the sounder functionality, and I'm not sure exactly how the circuit's wired because I've never seen one of these in person or played with it. But that's like how you keep the circuit available or open. I can't remember which way it works, and some of you may know.
Yeah.
But all that extra stuff back there is part of the sounder system. And this was the thing on Navy ships, because this looks like World War II vintage gear here. And maybe Eric or somebody else who's a Navy guy can.
You know how token ring works, Jim?
Yeah.
That's the token.
Same thing. I have the
Yeah,
token, so I'm talking. Okay.
Or I passed it on to the next station. So imagine there's 4 telegrapher stations in a row inside the telegraphy office, and 3 of them are out to lunch. All 3 keys are open, and you're the 4th key trying to key, and you can't complete the circuit. So before they all go to lunch, they all have to throw the switch, which activates the sounder, which sends it down to the next station.
To the next station. Okay.
That's very, very, very high level on purpose. Because I don't know any deeper than that.
That's better than I got. So anyway, I had to share that. I thought that was interesting. I know a lot about Morse code, but I still can't do it. Right. In other news, as of 10 hours ago, this morning, there is a station apparently in Antarctica. So if y'all want to try and get... He was a
POTA station?
That's
There's
what
a
they
registered
said.
park in Antarctica. Nice.
Well, hell, I would imagine all of Antarctica is a park. I mean, technically, it's pretty much wild as wild can be.
Well, for POTA, it's got to be designated in a system that can be searchable or have very special privileges. I was going to mix the word privilege and permission at the same time.
The key is in series with the sounder and the circuit out. When you open the slider switch, you break the circuit, which is why we now say break on the air. Okay. Anyway, I thought it was cool that somebody's got one of those dinguses and shared a picture of it. So anyway, y'all may want to put that in your ham alert because I already have to see if I can catch this. I've gotten Antarctica on FT8. I would sell my mortal soul if I had one to catch them on sideband, but we'll see.
Yeah, because you already sold yours. That's how you got so handsome and
right,
so wealthy.
Right, that's right.
So many.
This did not come free.
So many
that's
investments, assets.
So anyway,
those guitars were from after he sold his soul to the devil. Right. The devil's like, I want a refund.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay. So the other thing that we were going to share this morning, and I need to reshare that screen. I wish I could share more than one screen at a time.
You should make a
Yeah.
slideshow of screens. That would do it.
Yeah, totally. All right, let's add that up here. Oh, snap. What have we got?
Oh, that looks
So-
like a spectrum analyzer with... It's already got harmonics. What are you talking about?
Those aren't harmonics. That's just the markers set there.
Did you
And it's-
manually program that in, or is that part of the deal?
No, I
already...
programmed in where the markers are. So if you look at the screen up here, you'll see M1, M2 delta, M3 delta, M4 delta, M5 delta. So these guys just got back from Venezuela, I understand. Anyway,
I get
This
that
is
reference.
yeah, this is our fundamental here. And then marker 2 is at 293, I believe. Did I get the markers? That's weird the way it's showing that, but I set all those markers.
So
I
let's
got that
explain
right.
what a harmonic is in the first place.
We'll do that while I'm double checking this.
So I'll give you a real high level explanation of it. Every radio produces signals at the frequency of interest, the dial frequency, and multiples of that frequency above it. So 146.52 is your frequency that you're trying to transmit on. Multiply that by 2, and that's your first harmonic. That's your second harmonic, sorry. The first harmonic is the frequency you're on because it makes the math easier in the future. Your second harmonic is fundamental times 2. Your third harmonic is fundamental times 3, times 4, times 5, all the way up the line. And you were supposed to, as a good ham, make filters. And you are the one that's responsible for it, not the radio manufacturer. The FCC doesn't license manufacturers to certify their gear so that you can be an appliance operator. They license you so that you can be an actual operator and fix all of these problems.
Right. And so CFR 47 part 97.307 echo lays
Jim
out,
did his homework.
well, I've had it memorized for a long time, it lays out what the standards are, the regulations, whichever you want to call it, for radios transmitting under a certain amount of power, et cetera, et cetera. And there's more to it. There's a lot more words, and I'm not going to pull up that law, but that regulation rather. But basically, on any HT radio under 220 megahertz, and that's key, under 220, UHF does not count. It's got its own whole set of weird rules. You're supposed to be 43 dB below the fundamental frequency, 146.52. You're muted, dude. If you said words,
I was
we didn't hear
whispering.
'em. Okay.
I was not interrupting you.
Oh, you're supposed to be 43 dB below your fundamental frequency and transmit
And
no more than minus 16.0 dBm of output power. So the two conditions have to be met to pass 97307E. And when you test for that, what you do is you hook up the radio to a spectrum analyzer. Now, I need to, actually, I unplugged this wire because it was in the middle of my screen and it irritated me this morning. But
Brassman's saying he got a dirty set of 2. Did you test them yourself, or are you just following on with somebody else's? Because we've tested plenty.
I don't know what to tell you, and that's kind of the point of this video, I guess, because there's tons of YouTube videos that showed testing of 5 minis and they were fine. And I mean, we had one on TO's show. We did this on TO's show with an RF engineer, Dr. Doug, who's way smarter than either one of us. And his cheapest piece of test gear was probably 5 times the cost of the one you're looking at. And this is not a tiny SA, by the way.
Right. So real quick before you go on, Miko Wolf,
Miko.
you know where I can get a ham license? Miko Wolf, you know where I can get a ham license but don't have to have a ham shack everywhere? Ham shack is not a requirement of getting a license. And you can do it online by going to hamstudy.org/sessions and do it from the comfort of your own hair.
Yep. And if you are looking to learn, if you don't have your license, Miko, and you need to study, you can also study at hamradioprep.com. Use code FEP Labs for a discount. I think it's 10%. I can't remember. And then they also have World Radio League, which is part of the same company.
KM9G.
Don't use that code on this show. This is use FEP Labs. Pay no attention to that man. I am Oz, the great and powerful. Anyway, either one will work. Ham Study is a good one. That's actually what I got used for my license testing. But Ham Radio Prep is also very good. Ham Radio Prep has a modest fee. So, but it's
also a wildly
lifetime.
different thing.
Yeah, it is.
Ham Study is free, but it's just drilling you the questions and giving you text explanations. And Ham Radio Prep is giving you what you would consider to be classroom style instruction.
Yeah, much more in-depth classroom style instruction. So, anyway, so that is the criteria for any radio under so many watts, and I think it's 30 watts, below 220 megahertz. Jimmy, really? Oh, TO for putting it up there, really? So, you people, I mean, it's like Frank pimping his show on your show all the time. Remember that? He always did that.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's no idiosyncrasies. There's just one way to do the test, and most people don't know what that way is.
And
that'll make your radio dirty.
And it's a little complicated, too. Yeah. So,
you got it, Jimmy.
Use code I don't have.
I know where you can get one, Mesh Dave, Mesh Dealer.
So, I bought a 2-pack off of Amazon. These were not sent to me by anybody. I paid for these. Baofeng has no idea who bought these. I just bought them like you buy them. Believe it or not, even big-time YouTubers like T.O. or, Hayden, big time, we don't have a pipeline to the interior of the radio industry. We wish we did sometimes, but we don't. So I paid retail.
We should, but that's their fault for not paying attention.
Right, because we're cool and good-looking. Hey, Sarah, good morning. So I know we have 2 ladies in the chat now. I have not seen Tierney, but
we have not reached a quorum yet.
No quorum.
Needs to be 4.
Real essays are, Todd, I agree with you, real essays are not quite as annoying as the tiny essay. The tiny essay works, and it's a good tool to play with, and if you know how to deal with its idiosyncrasies, it's decent. But it has some specific quirks that you have to account for when you test. And depending on which version of the tiny essay you have, did you get a real one? Did you get a knockoff from somewhere? And good luck knowing which is which. I don't know. So if you have a tiny essay, I am not TSA shaming. You've got a tool, learn its quirks inside and out and how much you can trust it. But there are some things that have to be set up correctly to do the test correctly on a tiny essay. The biggest difference between the tiny essay...
Same thing on the Siglent.
And it is the same thing. I have to set the same things. The biggest difference is on the tiny essay, because it is a tiny essay, it has a much higher noise floor. It doesn't have near the filtering and near the shielding that something like this guy does. This is a Siglent SVA 1015X. It's a combination VNA and spectrum analyzer. It costs a little bit more than a tiny SA. So they're both tools. They both work. The difference is between a VW Bug and a Rolls Royce. I don't know. Well, actually, this is not even a Rolls Royce. This might be a really high-end
VW
Buick.
Bug and a Chevy Cavalier.
Yeah. This is like a high-end Buick. That stuff Doug had, that was a Rolls Royce, But anyway, so I have an attenuator hooked up, and it's a 40 dB attenuator. I tested it. I know how much it's got. The spectrum analyzer has internal attenuation, and it has set it itself based on the signals that it's seen. I can also manually adjust it. It doesn't change anything for me. Because the noise floor on this guy is so freaking low, it's not really an issue with it like it is on the Tiny SA.
We should do it with and without internal attenuation.
Oh, that would be like a 2-hour show, and I don't want to. So anyway, I have a pair of fangs. One is in my hand. The other one is down here hooked up and turned on. And we are on 146.52. Yes, we are. So here we go. Live.
As one does.
and I pushed the
Oh, look at how dirty that thing is.
no, I pushed the UHF channel instead of the VHF channel. This has two
Is
PTTs.
that why you saw harmonic 4 going crazy?
Yeah, that was UHF. That was down in the UHF band. So there we go. We're going to let it sweep a couple more times. But number
Oh,
one,
I see a fifth harmonic.
yeah, you do. And if you look up in the top, harmonic number 2 is minus 56 dB below the fundamental. Number 3 is minus 61. Number 4 is minus 58. And number 5 is minus 50 dB down from the fundamental. And nothing is above the minus 16.02 dBm line. We're using a resolution bandwidth, I think, of about 30 kilohertz on this. That's why it's sweeping so slow. I could sweep it faster, but then it gets pissy because I also get more noise. So this is a better way to do it with a tighter resolution bandwidth. So that's it. I can't make it pass any more than that. There's no
So if I
ifs,
had a
ands, and or
signal,
buts.
right? If I had a signal that started at say minus 60 dB in the first place, you can't be minus 60 dB plus harmonic 1 being 40 dB below the fundamental plus being below minus 1602 dBm because that's not mathematically possible.
Yeah. Brassman said he doesn't have the attenuation span for a 2-hour show. Me neither, dude. I'm old. I'll have to pee before then. So that was the first one. I'm hooking up the second one right now. And we're using the 40 dB 200 watt cell wave dummy load attenuator. And this is an inductive tap attenuator.
This ADHD life, that's funny.
What'd he say?
He
What will
said,
he say?
what will someone say you're doing wrong?
Don't know, don't care. And maybe there are dirty ones. I don't know. Every sample I have put my hands on, which is 3, these 2 plus the one Steve and I tested on his Nugget show with this spectrum analyzer, are fine.
And mine was double tested because I tested it for my video and then I sent it to Jim and Jim tested it again and both of us found it clean.
Yeah, I mean, there's
2 different measuring tools.
So here's the second Fang keying up now.
Can you use an SDR as a spectrum analyzer? Kinda.
Yeah.
Yes, it will analyze the spectrum it receives, but it's not an instrument as much as it is. I mean, you're trying to like your hand crank emergency Boy Scout crystal radio set and compare it to, the Rolls Royce or whatever. It will analyze signals and report back the information, but is it good enough for real work? Don't know.
And depending on which SDR software you use, and I can't remember which one I'm thinking of, there is a spectrum analyzer plugin. Also, for what it's worth, a lot of mid-grade, low grade, low mid-grade scopes and up in the $300, $600 range and up have what's called an FFT function, which is a fast Fourier transform, and it converts the electrical amplitude and time to frequency over time. So it gives you a spectrum analyzer output. And you can actually do this test on an oscilloscope with an FFT function. But not all, you got to get up more than $70 oscilloscope to do it. Anyway, this is the second Fang. So first harmonic is 51 dB below the fundamental, 62 dB below, 57 dB, and again 50 dB below. So these two are almost identical numbers. I don't remember exactly all of the other numbers, but I know that last one was right at 50 dB below the fifth harmonic. So there you go. There's nothing wrong with the radio. Now, in spite of my better judgment, I will do what Steve mentioned, and I will turn off our internal attenuation.
So the creator of the TinySA, Eric, says that the TinySA generates its own internal harmonics, and therefore it needs to have its own internal attenuator engaged at some level. So if you have a tiny SA and you don't have the internal attenuator engaged, you will see problems.
Right. Here we go. I should have the reference level turned up higher, but doesn't matter.
Still looks
And
clean.
That is no internal attenuation at all. And we're cooking
And this
with
is the
gas.
difference between a tiny SA and a real spectrum analyzer, if you will.
Yeah, the filtration. And you can see
What do you
that
have the span set to? I don't think
we're
yours
going
has a
from-
span, does it?
Yeah, it does. Please. We're going
Well, the
from,
span in terms of the way the tiny SA has a span.
Yeah. You go to frequency and you start it and stop it somewhere.
Yeah, that's a different thing. The tiny SA has a very specific thing that creates chunks on it when you set the span, and then it will measure quickly chunk 1, quickly chunk 2, quickly chunk 3.
Yeah, well,
It's
that's another difference. I don't have
feature.
to do that. Yeah, that's a function because of the way the tiny SA is made and the lack of functionality it has.
Yeah, so technically it's 610 megahertz in real SA talk,
Right.
not in tiny SA talk.
Sarah, as a self-proclaimed perfectionist, I hate close enough.
I don't think
That
you can
ain't
ever
close
get
enough.
not
That is
close enough.
Perfect. I mean,
You'd have
it's
to
gonna
get
have
every
harmonics,
single,
but
yeah. You'd have to get every single Baofeng tested in the exact same conditions, in the exact same lab, with the exact same temperature and humidity and so on. And yeah, there's no such thing as exact in actual organic systems. Physics meets the real world every day.
Well, speaking of that, Matt stole my thunder. Damn you, Matt. On top of all this is that the rule the way it is for consistency, but it's dumb. Radiated power is what matters. Keep in mind, we're pumping I don't know if I can get this up on the camera. Yeah, I can. I'm literally pumping my RF into this giant brick dummy load / tap on a wire. So Matt's point is, and Tio has said this too, not as eloquently as Matt,
Of course.
radiated power is what matters. And on an HT antenna hooked to your butt, you know, even if that fifth harmonic or any of those harmonics was squeaking the line, minus 16.02 dBm is 25 microwatts, right? If that antenna is not efficient at all, and I haven't seen an HT antenna that is, right? You ain't radiating
It's a
squat.
compromise.
You might be radiating 32 microwatts. 40, you know, I mean, not, I did that the wrong way. Less than 25 microwatts, 20, 15, based on how crappy the HT antenna is. And one of those harmonics, which one is it? The 439 one does fall in the ham band. That's technically in the HF 70 centimeter
And
band.
by design,
But, okay, if you're standing next to your buddy at Hamcation trying to talk on VHF and he's on the UHF channel around 439.56 and his radio's buzzing every time you key up, you should probably stop. But
well, hold on 1 second. If you're doing that, you should actually just turn over and talk to him because he's within your 6 feet of personal space.
well, no, I mean he's on a different frequency anyway because you're
Right.
He might be
Right.
talking on his All-Star node or something.
Yeah.
But my point is, there it is, a random sample of 2 Baofeng minis that I bought, the one Steve sent me, which may or may not come from a vendor. I don't remember what Steve's origin source was on his Baofeng mini.
Undisclosed.
Josh has done this.
Because it's funny.
I mean, 2.0's done this, I'm pretty sure. There's probably 20 other YouTubers that I can't remember.
W6JF Craig has done it.
Yeah, that have done this. And so I got no problem with these radios. And because I got no problem with these radios, we're going to do a giveaway today. So one of you is going to get a boxed set of 2
set
Baofeng
it up.
UV-5R minis. Thank you, buddy.
Oh, look how generous you are. You're not giving away 2 to 2 different people. You're giving away 2 to 1 person so they can talk to themselves.
I got 1 box. It was a 2-pack. Literally a 2-pack. And
set
Biggie
up the
didn't get
giveaway
him
for
this
you.
time. It's an old guy rap joke there, kind of. Yeah.
So the other thing is that you'll run into is two high quality. Get your favorite Harris radios or your favorite Motorola radios. Stand in the same room with them. Transmit on the same frequency with them, and then you will create harmonics magically.
Yeah, and that's actually on the test. That's intermodulation. You can make your own harmonics. So,
All right, I got the giveaway.
Marvin, I'm
set
with
up.
you. I cannot stand Neil Young. Southern man don't need him around. Just saying. I don't think there's anything that Neil Young ever sang on that I care about in any way.
I picked a word that two of y'all typed already.
Let's see. I was trying to catch up on the chat because while I was looking at this, the chat was rolling. Now it's rolling with everybody typing harmonics.
Yeah, StreamYard's added the question highlight, but it scrolls off the screen. There should be another tab to pick the ones that have questions in them.
Have you had a 2955 test set? I don't know what that is specifically. I'm guessing that's an HP dingus.
It's when you go to the doctor's office and they ask you about this 17-syllable disease. If you can't pronounce it, if you don't recognize it on paper, you haven't had it.
Right. Yeah, I give blood on a regular basis, and they're always asking, have you ever had or know anyone who's had yada, 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 yakety, smackalicious? Nope. I don't know any women that can even say that word. So, and hell, I can't say it. What was I going to say? Shoot. Oh, Hayden has tested these, and he has an HP test set. So I assume that's what you're talking about as well with the 2955. Yeah, like a cell site test set because it'll do all this same stuff. I don't have one of those, and it's frankly 3 times the size of the thing I got. So,
Well, with how old those things are, I wonder when the last time they were calibrated was.
right. Well, Sarah, I apologize. It's still going to be close enough. I apologize,
With all
Sarah.
due respect.
It's going to be close enough. I don't think it's going to be that wildly out of calibration. Now, if you are testing on a 20 or 30-year-old 2955 or the one Hayden has, which I think is an 8000 series thing.
If it has a tube TV in it, a CRT,
Right. And you have a harmonic sitting at
you
the point.
might be an OM.
Well, no. If you have a harmonic sitting on minus 16.02 or bopping up just above it, and you're running it on a 25 or 30-year-old, hasn't been calibrated in a lab test gear, it may or may not be out of spec, but, Anyway, I don't have any problem with these radios. Every one I have seen has been fine. The test procedure has been validated by a guy that's got a PhD in this crap. And between Steve and I, we can barely spell PhD. So
All right, we got 90 entries. I'm hitting the button.
do it. Who is getting these delicious 2-pack of Baofeng UV-5R minis that I just got on Amazon yesterday, as a matter of fact?
Oh, man,
Justin
they were still in the
Crook.
return window.
Oh, yeah. I could literally return these and say, these don't work. Ape said, someone said they're not clean. Damn it. I didn't want to say that. I apologize. I really didn't. I wonder if that's been used as an excuse. I saw this YouTube video and they said these things were filthy. Now somebody, and I forgot who said it, and I apologize. Somebody out here said he had some that were dirty. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's why I was
No.
wondering, like, did he test them and they're dirty, or did he just take somebody else's word for it that they're dirty?
Yeah.
Because
And
ham-say is a thing.
Justin Crook, are you good on the Zed? What is your call sign? If you have one, that way I can verify. But I need some 411 from you, brother. Or send me a DM in Toad's Discord if you're there. Teal, could you post a link to Toad's Discord?
I could.
And then I will pin it at the top for the next
He is
10 minutes.
feverishly
we're here.
typing right now.
Yeah.
Eric,
Yeah,
I agree
Boink, I-
100%.
Boink, I've tested a bunch of radios, and the worst one I ever had, and I still have it, and it might even be in here, I think it is, was the Radtail.
Oh, Steve's got it. Make sure you test those when you get them, Justin.
Yeah.
Can't trust no filthy YouTubers. Absolutely correct, Matt.
Yep. Yep. And well, and that was where I was going. Was my personal sample is
Thanks,
3,
LC.
right? Plus which any KR4AZL. All right. I don't have a writing utensil. Let me make an electronic
I got you.
note.
I gotcha. See, I'm a good producer.
You are. Better than Frank. Maybe. I don't know. Frank types faster than you.
All right, now let me go find that link you wanted me to find.
You know, the thing is, it's like, where was I going with this? Crap. I hate being old.
All right,
I think,
there's the
or
link
else
to
I'm having
Toad's
a stroke.
Discord.
Yeah. Let me pin that. Because I don't think you can pin.
Not from here. I had to. No, I could pin if I was logged in through YouTube, but I'm not. I'm just watching the show.
Okay. Anyway, there's a link to Toad's Discord over there by T.O. somewhere. Click it and join the friendliest, largest
Here
ham
we
radio
go.
community on Discord.
Here we go. Yes. Soulstar LA. If the UV-5R Mini has bad harmonics, you could be a ham and fix them. Absolutely correct.
Scout, only trust the YouTubers that boost your confirmation bias. If they agree with you, I think as a group we tend to do that a lot. It might just be a human thing too, but it's certainly a ham thing. My point before I had my mini stroke and forgot what I was going to say. My personal sample of testing is 3. They've all passed. I've been doing this test. As far as I know, I was the first YouTuber to do this test in a video before anybody else was doing it. Anyone. Maybe Alan Wolke, W2AEW, had done this on his channel, possibly. But everybody else, I had never seen it. And we did this. Who?
I'm not arguing with you. I'm arguing with Jeff. It's a couple of inductors, a couple of capacitors, and it's fixed. You just build a filter. Sorry. It may not actually be on the extra test how to do it, but that is how you do it. It's not difficult to do.
So I'm turning these off so I don't run down the battery or wear out the warranty before they get shipped out.
And the whole teeny semiconductor thing, I've actually got you on that. Hayden and I have worked on a project.
While you're finding that, what is that?
There you go.
Oh, that's your
2 meter
filter thing
bandpass
you guys
filter.
did. Yeah.
This will fix harmonics.
Yeah, it will. Just duct tape that on the back of your radio.
But the problem is that building a filter yourself is about $30. Buying a Baofeng is about $30.
Well, and that's where I was going. Again, my sample is 3. T.O. had a couple other ones that he tested and were fine. Multiple people have tested them. Josh was on a video with Dr. Doug and someone else, and I cannot remember who. I always forget his name or call sign.
Mark from Soda Plus.
Mark from Soda Guys, yeah. They tested them on Dr. Doug's rigs, which is way more high-end than anything I've got here, and light years away from a Tiny SA. And I think Dr. Doug, we did it with the Tiny SA on Nuggets, didn't we, with Dr. Doug on that show?
Yeah.
I believe. So,
and everybody who has enough clout to believe in says the Tiny SA and the NOBNA are good tools.
Yeah, I mean, they are. They are. You just have to understand the setup and the limitations. And the noise floor is the big one. You've got to have the internal attenuation on, or you're going to hear it's going to hear itself. And that's exactly what the guy who designed it said. And Dr. Doug concurs. So I've got 2 guys who are way smarter than me because I can't design a Tiny SA. Eamon, good morning.
So Eamon says no 2 devices are the same. So
Yep.
that's a good point because this is a bad AIOC. This one may or may not be a bad AIOC, but I know that this one is bad. And it's a run of 120 of them. It happens. It's okay. That's what warranties are for.
Bricker, I totally agree. That's what I'm saying. They're not lab grade tools. Hell, this isn't lab grade. I've never had this officially lab calibrated. and neither is the Tiny SA. But it is good enough for field work.
Ooh, them's fighting words, Elsie.
Personally, any radio that gets you on the air and you're happy with, generally, is a good radio. There are a few exceptions. The Radtel POS that I mentioned. I'll be right back. Let me go. I know where it is. I'm going to get it, and we're going to. If the battery's still got power in it, we're going to.
Sure.
We're going to do it.
Hi, everybody. I've got a Radtel. One of the viewers sent it in. He's like, this thing is broken.
I don't have my ears in, but I can still talk and annoy you while I'm doing this.
You're doing a great job. This thing is broken. It won't work, and you can have it and have fun with it and make a video out of it. So it's in the back of the truck waiting for me to get around to it. And with this hobby, getting around to it is, I could die before I get around to it. Yeah. Bob Stone has the right. It's $20. Just be happy it actually works. $20 is $20, man. Get you on the air, get you learning, get you experimenting, get you to buy a better radio later, get you to know the difference between a good radio and a bad radio. These are all good things. That's funny. You can't test them. I totally get that. You can't test them because they might have. This is the black hat thing. My 2-meter handheld radio might have a chip in it that is sending telemetry data back to China. So that's why we should have shot that weather balloon down that was going over. It was collecting all the telemetry from the Baofengs that people were using. It's the same thing with antennas, Rob. The best radio is the one you have that works. The best antenna is the one that's in the air. Everything's a compromise in life. 100% of everything. Go to the grocery store. Food is a compromise. Buying a house is a compromise.
I don't have it in here. It's out in the shop. So you'll miss that delightful radio. It was like well over 0
Julie's
dBm.
Here.
Well over 0 dBm on every harmonic, up to like 5 or 6. Hey, Julie, good morning. So we have a quorum of ladies.
That's 3. I think we need 4. What's the rule? Well, I think we have to check the bylaws.
We'd have to check the bylaws. We'd have to have bylaws first.
Thus being a quorum, we have Elodie, Julie, and Sarah. And if we missed anybody, sound off in the chat.
I haven't seen Tierney.
Or Kelly.
Or Kelly, yeah. Oh, Kelly may be snowed in this morning. Who knows? It might be so cold that it froze her internet.
It is cold here in Arizona.
The weather here can't make up its mind. Dave, I have nothing to do with that. I profess no knowledge.
This is not that show.
This ain't that show.
Dave, I know a guy. You could call him. We could put out a piece of paper.
Colin, we don't have galas here, but I understand squirrel. Who ate your wire up in Wisconsin? Was that?
Oh, it was squirrels. Yeah.
Yeah. Tree rats.
Maybe a chipmunk. I don't know. Vermin.
Mm-hmm. Still a tree rat of some sort. Some sort of rat cousin. Cuter, but still a rat. Anyway. Oh, Joe Brett. Good morning, brother.
The 5-0 is now on the case, Dave.
That's right. Put 5-0 on it. We can get a warrant sworn. Swear out a warrant, Dave. A ham warrant. Anyway, I think that's about all I've got. I just wanted to do it. There seems to be a fair amount of drama on the minis. Again, my sample of 3, perfectly fine. And this is as random could be. I literally ordered these off of Amazon on Wednesday. They landed yesterday. We tested them this morning. They're fine.
I know of only 2 bad ones. Those need to be sent out for further testing.
And I would love to, get a sample of 50 or something of these things. I would literally sit here and plug in radio after radio.
Yeah, it'd be a nice live stream.
So we could do that. If you guys want to do that, if you have a mini, I will test it. We will do a live stream of nothing but me testing minis. You're going to send it and eat the postage both ways. And I will be glad to test it.
is down.
Well, that's awkward.
There it is. It came back.
They had to reboot the machine. Probably the 386 was out of tune. Dave, thank you for the $9.99 super chat. So the offering plate did not get lost. It just got set down and forgot about apparently during most of the service.
It's when you asked Jonathan to move up to the front row, he left the plate behind. And nobody picked it back up until Dave came back from taking a leak.
Dog boy, I don't know what radio you mean specifically. And here's the thing. I'm not buying all the radios and testing all the radios.
So they do make a Baofeng UV-5R mini GMRS version. The problem, if you've looked at it, the problem is the GMRS testing. I don't have a degree in advanced mathematics. I can only pass the extra test. I'm not smart enough to pass GMRS radios or not.
Do it, Matt. I'll do it. I'll send it, brother. We'll do it. Yeah, I think the Radtel's out in the box of really crappy radios or something. If I haven't thrown it out, I don't think I did.
It's funny how you only keep the bad ones.
Well, I've got more HTs than one man needs now, and there's like 3 boxes of HTs. These are good ones. These are okay, cheap ones, but functional. And then there's the demon radios that are out in the shop. That's where the Radtel's at, I'm sure.
It's probably not that hard to test and verify a GMRS radio, but those actually do need to be verified by the government, I believe. Type accepted and all that jazz. But it's got logarithms in it.
Yeah, and I don't know the exact rule, but if you look up the GMRS rules, they are very complicated. And the ham rules, 97307 doesn't talk anything about UHF at all. So if you're...
Yeah, it's excluded.
It's completely excluded. Your UHF Chinese radio or Japanese radio could be blasting crap all over the hemisphere on 70 centimeters. The FCC says nothing about that. The GMRS radios have rules, and it is fairly complicated. Tio's right. There's like math and lab work involved in that. This is once you set up the SA, punch the button.
So LC has decided, he's not decided is the wrong word. He's decided he's going to gift us 1,000 Baofengs to test.
That's right. Come on. Yeah, I'll test them. I ain't buying all these radios because I don't want them. I have plenty. And honestly, if I didn't have 3 shoeboxes full of HTs, I would probably keep these. But because I am a giver, and these are actually pretty sweet little radios. I mean, this is like the size of a, what is the Yaesu one? The VX2, VX3?
Oh, yeah. I think that actually might be smaller.
Yeah, I'd have to find my VX2. It's in the good box, but yeah.
They're not smaller than the Alinco, the credit card radio.
Do you have one? I don't know what you're talking about.
Alinco has a series of 3 different radios that are about the size and shape of a credit card. They're a little bit thicker, but they don't even put out a watt, I don't believe.
Okay.
They're fun, though. And it's a 2 meter, 70 centimeter HT. It's 2 meters at least.
You know what I never tested, and I sold it. Doc Brad bought it. The Pico APRS is technically a 2 meter HT as well. It has HT functionality in that thing.
Yep.
And I can't believe I never plugged it in.
It doesn't actually matter whether it's an HT or not. The rules apply to everything. Your QRP HF radios, your CB radios, if you convert them to ham radios.
True. That's true. Eric, 4797307B. All right, CFR 4797.307B. What's he talking about?
So it's not ham say. We're proving it right or wrong right now.
Well, okay. Hang on. Let me share this with the people. Add to stage. That's not what I wanted. I shared that screen. Never mind. Stop that.
The only thing that would make the Baofeng Mini better is if it had a built-in Bluetooth KISS TNC. But with the AIOC, you can do digital modes with it, as long as you have a properly balanced antenna.
Yeah. There's not any specific specs. That is a, yeah.
Did you want to share that? Or just talk about it?
Oh, I am sharing it. You got it. See, the other one, Restream just popped it up. As soon as you said I want to share the screen, it popped it up. My bad, dog. So let me plus that up some more.
Because it
B,
ain't big enough already.
emissions resulting from modulation must be confined to the band or segment available to the control operator. Emissions outside the necessary bandwidth must not cause splatter or key click interference. And that's a good, it's a blanket rule, yeah. So it does cover it. My part.
Well, is there a part above that that says amateur transmission shall occupy?
No more bandwidth than necessary.
Somebody started this ham say rumor. So, where did it get its legs from is my question.
Spurious emissions from a station transmitter must be reduced to the greatest extent practical.
Because there is that part about what age the transmitter is, because older transmitters don't fall within this. There's your age.
Yep, there's the age right there. Installed after January 2003. And there's 4 of these rules that the FCC is dropping. And we didn't cover that. And I can't remember which ones they are, but I think this rule here is getting modified, as a matter of fact. The mean power of any spurious emission from a station transmitter or external RF power amplifier transmitting on a frequency below 30 megahertz must be at least 43 dB below the mean power of the fundamental. For transmitters installed on or before January 03, the mean power blah blah must not exceed.
So this is all 30 megahertz and below.
Yep.
So that's HF.
Hang on. Well, that's D.
Here it is.
That,
E.
Yeah, I was not on
E is the one that excludes between 30 and 225.
Yep.
So 440 is above 225 and is excluded from E. So where does it come back in again?
Well, we'd have to find the GMRS rules.
Well, no, I meant for 70 centimeter ham radio, because Eric is saying that it still needs to be tested. And this part E is saying it does not.
Yeah, I've never found it. If you can tell me which one, Eric, we'll pull it up here. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying I don't know which one it is because I've never seen it.
Yeah, so he was right that the ones that he specified don't have a frequency limit, but then farther down the page there is a frequency limit.
Our 60-meter band.
And that's another one they just changed.
Yep, that is one of the ones they just changed. So, don't be a dick. That's the rule. If your radio's splattering, maybe make a 2-meter filter like Tio and Hayden did, which is actually not hard.
No.
Or,
I think it's EasyNeck lets you prototype the circuit filter things. I think it's EasyNeck.
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
There is a piece of software that lets you to do it, and then you have to do it in the real world to prove that the software was right.
Got you, Elsie.
Right?
Thank you for the $2 super chat. So, commandment number 1, that's exactly right. Don't be a dick. That is my rule for pretty much everything.
Then how did these boys get their ham license? Not you in the chat. These boys on QRZ that complain all the time.
Right. Better send on conductor. Yep. Probably so, Bricker. All right. Guys, I'm going to hit the button. Thank you all for being here this morning. The blessings of RF upon you. Don't be afraid of the Baofeng Mini. This has been certified demon-free. These 2 specifically. I can't speak for every Baofeng Mini out there because apparently there's at least one that is poopy. But
the power of RF compels you.
In my testing, seems fine to me. Guys, thank you very much for being here. Have a great day. Button engaging.